According to Doug, this is episode 16.
16! Sweet 16.
Of the Cinemen. We have reunited after about 2 weeks.
Something like that. It's the shortest break we've had since that really long hiatus.
It's the shortest break we've had since that time in
That
time in Budapest. As I couldn't pull it out of my head.
You remember Budapest very differently than I do.
So what's going on, sir? How bees you?
Tired. Mm-hmm. So tired. But when you have an almost 4-year-old, you get tired.
You get tired.
Which, by the way, happy belated Father's Day. As we are recording on the 17th, the day after Father's Day.
Happy belated Father's Day to you, my good sir.
Why, thank you. No, I'm doing well. Just watching a bunch of movies, hanging out with the boy, sometimes occasionally seeing the wife.
Okay, all right.
She sends her regards with cookies, as always.
I see that, yes. And what do you, can you give me a better description of what you gave me before?
You didn't like rat poison?
Yeah. Well, I told you, if these are rat poison, I'm just giving them to Leslie. We can continue to do the show this way.
Those are oatmeal cookies.
Okay.
Those are oatmeal cookies. She was baking some and had a surplus.
Ooh.
And by
like
surplus, I mean they were mine and I'm giving them to you.
Oh, you're too kind. Now, she was baking on whose behalf is she baking for, Doug?
It's a secret.
It's a secret?
It's a secret.
Oh, okay.
Can't talk about it.
I mean, I was trying to tee you up for casual confections. But
Oh, I'm aware of that, and I could totally talk about casual confections.
But before we talk about that, I want to get back to the secret.
She actually did do a gig over the weekend. Family friend, they have 2 sons. One of them turned 2, I believe.
And 2 of them turned 1.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, Ronan is 5 in February. I believe Milo just turned 2. And since Connor has his birthday this coming Friday, they want to do a mutual birthday. And they were like, Crystal, make us cupcakes. So she made some rainbow cupcakes within rainbow buttercream on top.
Ooh.
It really just looked like unicorn poop, if you're into that kind of thing. And these kids were into that kind of thing, even though they didn't know it looked like unicorn poop.
I think deep down they're into it because they know it looks like unicorn poop.
But no, it looked great. I didn't eat any because they were for the kids, but
those kids got to learn what taxes are eventually. my kids learn very early.
Well, there's also the fact that I get a lot of the taste testing. Mm-hmm. I had 2 people say to me on Saturday, "Man, I don't know how you stay in shape with all the cooking, with all the baking she does." And I was like, "Well, you just change your perspective. Round is a shape.
Round is a shape, sir. If that's the case, we're in great shape, Doug. We have nothing to worry about."
Yeah, so I don't always eat what she makes, whether it's for a social thing where it's casual confections, but we're going somewhere, or if she's taste testing, what have you. Sometimes I sit it out.
What was the percentage you'd have to say of Doug sampling? Do you sample 60% of what she makes?
It honestly depends.
15%?
It honestly depends.
Right.
I wish I could give you percentage. If she was just making stuff for people, then I would say 90% of the time I would try it just to sort of give some feedback. But when it's a paid gig, and there's a certain amount that needs to go to wherever,
No.
I'm not. No.
I'm not asking of the batches how much you dip in your hand. I just mean overall of everything she's made. What's the percentage of stuff?
Of everything she's made, where there has been, we'll call it surplus in this case. Not like with this the cookies I'm giving you are a different kind of surplus. Mm-hmm. But where, for example, she's hired to bake, I don't know, a cake and there's extra icing. I might try it, depending on the type of icing it is.
Just imagine a wedding cake showing up with 1 slice missing out.
No. There's a saying in my house, because I like being married to Crystal. Oh. There are things that I do and don't do. You know why? Because I like being married to Crystal.
I was going to assume the saying in your house is, fuck those customers. I'm trying to get this. I'm trying to get these cookies.
No.
I had this all backwards.
The Casual Confections motto is we keep it messy. It's not that kind of messy. It's not that unprofessional kind of messy.
That's where I reside.
Yeah. You said it, not me. But anyway, so that's more or less what's been going on, and that's why you have cookies is, Father's Day cookies.
No, much appreciated.
Yeah.
And thank you very much, Crystal.
You're very welcome. But other than that, just chilling out, watching some movies. What about you?
Likewise. Haven't seen a lot. lately because I've been in full-time podcast mode because we're ramping up to that 50,000 listens. So I'm doing what I got to do to make sure we pump out some quality products that people listen to so we can get it to that 50,000. We're 300 and some odd shy of that right now as of the time of this recording on Monday the 17th. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of podcast stuff, prepping for podcast stuff, prepping for the Captain Marvel commentary that me and 3 lovely ladies will be sitting down to do right here in the studio.
Right on.
Yeah. And I took a little bit of break of movies. I found a little gig on YouTube, man, from a channel called Indie Film Director. You ever heard of these cats?
Mm-mm.
One of the shows on their channel is let me make sure I get the title right here. It is the Director Series is what it's called.
Okay.
And they take certain directors and they just do a breakdown and dive into each one of their films. So I've been going through all the Nolans. And they're each like about 30 to 40 minutes each.
Wow.
They just kind of talk about like what the themes of the movie are, or, like what Nolan had to do, or the clout he was rolling with at that time. So they got Nolan, Fincher, some PTAs up there, some Kubrick, some Terrence Malick, some Coens. So I've been sitting down and just kind of going through some of those. Right? They've been kind of entertaining. I've been learning some stuff about the movies I didn't know about.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I miss. Not that I have to tell you this, but having children changes the priorities of things.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So I would watch commentaries. I would watch that kind of stuff, and I really miss it. It's actually one of the neat things when I do a home release review where I actually have access to the bonus features, because you have to watch them. Because if you're going to talk about a home release, it's really useless if you don't find out if the features are worth anything.
Right.
So I watch them. And it's wonderful. Sorry, Crystal, I need to go through these special features. So, I mean, if I've seen the movie, it's a little easier.
Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah, you just skip straight to the special features.
Exactly, because if I've seen the film or if I've reviewed the film, okay, I don't need to focus on that. But if I haven't seen the film, then I need to watch the film and the special features, which I'll be doing with the live-action Dumbo later this week. But it's awesome. I miss going through the features.
Yeah, I think it seems like now that 4K is a thing, they're loading all their physical releases with special features on that, and now Blu-ray isn't getting as much of the special feature love.
It depends.
It used to be like things back in the days were just jam-packed with special features, and now it's sparse to say the least.
When it was DVD got all the special features, everything, and this was VHS obviously had dick. When Blu-ray came out, special features were there. Sometimes they were on the DVD, but now more than anything else, nothing on the DVD but the movie, special features on the Blu-ray. Now, here's what's interesting, to add to what you said. My experience thus far with 4K, and I have very limited experience, I've only had it about a year, and I don't own that many movies, is that all the special features are on the Blu-ray. The 4K has nothing. The few 4Ks that I've got has all the special features, if it comes with a Blu-ray, are on that. And the digital copy, if you get one, sometimes there's bonus features that are only on that.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
It was so frustrating. I got Infinity War, and I was sharing it with, I can't remember if I was sharing it with my middle brother, my older brother. It doesn't matter. One of them got the digital copy, and I couldn't look at the director's roundtable.
I've been trying to find, I still haven't seen that roundtable.
Oh, it's so good.
I've been trying to find it for a year now.
Well, I mean, if you won't come over and watch it, because I ended up Black Friday at Best Buy. They were selling the Marvel 4K for $15. So I went, yeah, I'm going to get Black Panther. I'm going to get Infinity War.
It'd be nice.
That's going to be it for now.
If they just, I wish places just sold special features. Like I'd buy some, depending on what it was. If it was a good solid commentary or something like that for like $2.99, something like that, $3.99, I'd buy that.
Well, I guess they're just assuming that you're going to get a digital copy, or they want to entice people to go in that direction. And in some cases, getting the digital copy is cheaper than the physical one, except for someone such as myself that relies on the internet to do a lot of screeners and other stuff, and Spectrum's unreliable as hell. I would rather have a physical copy.
Spectrum is not promoted by the Cineman.
No, they can go F themselves. My entire neighborhood is getting worked on. The wiring is so bad. Not my house, the neighborhood.
That's sad.
Yeah. So when we get to the challenges, we'll end up sharing what each other's got. We've actually got them here. I'm just so grateful that, Daryl, you gave me a disc. Not that you've had to. You didn't have to.
Yeah.
What I'm going to be watching is available online, and I'm pretty sure it's already in my list somewhere because I've wanted to watch this particular film for quite some time. I even got it from Netflix and never got around to it.
Sad.
Which it's very sad, but we're fixing it. We're fixing it. That's what the challenges are fun for. But I'm so grateful you gave me a disc because now, as long as the power doesn't go out,
You're all good to go,
I'm
man.
good
You're
to
all
go.
set.
So, but sort of getting us into
What have you been
the
watching?
heart of things. Just to at least mention a few films that I've seen recently that I definitely want to put on people's radars. There's a movie coming out on the 28th of June in select theaters from IFC Films. It's going to VOD on July 2nd called Ophelia. It's directed by Claire McCarthy. It's written by, I believe this is correct, Semi Kellis, and it's adapted from a book by Lisa Klein. It's Hamlet from the perspective of Ophelia. And I'm a big Shakespeare nerd. I loved reading Shakespeare for fun in high school and middle school. I was originally an undergrad to study literature, took a intro to Shakespeare class that I loved. I've got my mom's old Shakespeare book from when she went to college. And I plan on, if my son is a reader, passing it down to him. But this was fantastic. And for those of you that enjoy a good period film, for example, it is a phenomenal period film. It isn't people speaking in iambic pentameter like you used to with Shakespeare. It's people they're talking. Yes, they're in accents, but in English accents, but I mean, I don't know what they sound like in Denmark, but if it's Shakespeare, they speak with English accents. But it's got a phenomenal cast. Daisy Ridley, Naomi Watts, Tom Felton, Clive Owen headline this thing. They're all fantastic. They're all fantastic. And even though it is an interpretation, which is obviously not canon because it wasn't written by Shakespeare, it does really provide wonderful color to the other film. It fits as almost as a companion piece, I would say, to it that really makes you reconsider what you've seen, because particularly Ophelia, much like several other characters in that play, are there just to be fodder for the grinder, if you will, and they're not really looked at or examined. The Queen is another example of this. We get a sense of what her intentions are through maybe one conversation she has with Hamlet before Hamlet kills Polonius, who is Ophelia's father, and sets into motion a whole other thing.
Right.
Excuse me. If you haven't read Hamlet by this point,
That's on you.
yes. So I do apologize for the spoiler, but that happens.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting is the way that it's depicted in this film. And for example, there's a often quoted line from the original play that Polonius says to his son Laertes, who Tom Felton plays. Those of you not familiar with the name Tom Felton, he did, I think, a season of The Flash, and he's also...
Wait, that's the first thing you lead with is a season of The Flash?
I knew you would know that.
Oh, okay.
Because Harry Potter.
Wow.
He's Draco Malfoy.
Yeah.
So I was trying to help you out.
No, thank you.
I was trying to help you out. But they're all very good in it. But for instance, when Polonius does die, because it's Ophelia, she wasn't there in the scene, so she's not there when it happens.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that the direction in it is fantastic, that it always keeps Ophelia in the forefront.
Word.
And so I highly recommend that when it comes out. My full review will be coming out later. If you want to check it out, it'll, of course, be spoiler-free. Coming out on the 18th on DVD. It's already available on digital. Is a film by Crispin Mills called Slaughterhouse Rules.
Yeah.
This is it. They're so mismarketing this movie. They're marketing it as a Michael Sheen, Simon Pegg, and Nick Frost film.
Yep.
Now, Nick Frost and Simon Pegg, their production company, released this. It's their first film from Stolen Pictures. But they're selling it on their names. It's not really about them. They're sort of in the background. Yep. Michael Sheen has maybe 2 scenes, maybe 3. Simon Pegg is a little bit more.
Gotta do.
Well, yeah, of course. And they're great. They're fun in it. And keep in mind that this is sort of a teen comedy / drama that turns into an eco-creature feature.
All right.
But it's a little slow at the start, but you need that in order to sort of care about what happens when people start dying and getting limbs ripped off.
I'm with it.
So if you don't mind an ROUS, you're going to enjoy this. Another film that hit Netflix that I had the chance to check out that I absolutely, if you haven't seen it, please watch it. As Always Be My Maybe. Have you seen this yet?
No, not yet.
Oh, my God. It's going to end up being a challenge for you, I think, because it is a wonderful piece of cinema. Yep. am obviously not part of the Asian culture. So
true.
there is a great deal about it that didn't connect with me in that way, but it didn't prevent me from connecting with the story itself. And it was absolutely wonderful to see on the internet people of that community talking about the authenticity, the way that they were reacting, the way that they were talking about food or their community or just everything that they were doing, and seeing how authentic it was. And while I may not be able to recognize that authenticity, I still had a hell of a time with this movie.
All right.
And Keanu all but steals the show. Keanu
Of course,
Reeves.
he's Keanu.
Yeah. So those were...
Ali Wong, right?
Yeah, Ali Wong, Randall Park.
Yeah, that's sold and sold.
And Ali Wong's apparently coming to Charlotte. I didn't catch the date. But I was driving by Ovens Auditorium.
Oh, okay.
And
Right,
she was
graduated high school.
she was on the bottom of the board, so it's not anytime soon.
No.
But it's maybe within the next couple of months. So if you like Ali Wong, go check her out. And I think she's got 2 specials up on Netflix.
Baby Cobra and Hard Knock Wife.
Yeah. Both. I think she's pregnant in one. Is she pregnant in both?
She's pregnant in both.
Pregnant in both.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it took us about 2 or 3 years to watch both of those, with one of them having 10 minutes left.
Well, you still have 10 minutes left.
Oh, no, we finally finished it maybe a year ago.
Oh, okay. Well, isn't that sweet?
We started it, and then Connor kept waking up.
Okay.
And so we'd pause it, put him back to bed, come back. Finally, we're just like, F this.
You know what? Not happening.
And then it was maybe a year or so ago, we were like, man, we don't have a lot of time. You want to watch something? Oh, hey, we haven't finished that Ali Wong special. Let's put that. It turned out it was 10 minutes. I was like, are you kidding me?
And half that time was just that you clown and clapping and all that.
Anyway.
Yeah. All right. All right. Well, excellent. Nice.
Yeah. And because I want to be able to talk about it with you, I just got an email from Netflix before we went on the air. Us is on its way.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
No. Well, no, I mean, to me, it's on its way.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's hitting home release on the 18th.
Yes.
So it's on its way to me now in time for that home release.
Oh, so tomorrow you mean?
Well, I have no idea.
Well, today's the 17th. That's
I'm aware of that.
Oh, okay.
But Netflix is sending it, so it could get to be Thursday or Friday because it's going through USPS.
Okay. I have Criterion's Barry Lyndon coming to me.
Ooh, I still haven't seen that.
Yes, one of the Kubrick joints. Since watching The Favorite, I'm like, well, I mean, I gotta watch Barry Lyndon now because they got that all natural light. So yeah, I'll be checking that out because it's been forever since I've seen that.
Right on. I've heard nothing but amazing things. That it's sort of a painting in motion.
Visually amazing. Story is okay. So yeah. Well, you want to get to these challenges, sir?
Right on. All right. So the challenges, as you all have been aware, I had to watch Polar, and he had to watch
Animal World.
So I'd like you to go first this time. I would like to know what you thought about this movie that, to me, was completely mismarketed, at least as far as the trailer is concerned.
Okay, then. Animal World was it's a Chinese adventure action film.
You disagree?
I very much do. Written and directed by Han Yan and starring Chinese actors and, for some reason, Michael Douglas.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess if he had an afternoon off from Ant-Man and Wasp and he went and filmed this real quick.
He really didn't do much in this movie.
No. He might have 5 minutes of screen time total. Maybe 10.
Probably 10.
Maybe 10.
Probably 10.
Yeah, action adventure, huh? Okay. And when did this come out? This came out last year, didn't it? Yeah, 2018.
2018.
So yeah. The bare bones of it is people get shanghaied onto a boat where it is an epic we couldn't call it underground because they're on a boat, overwater game of rock, paper, scissors. Or paper, rock, scissors, depending on who you ask. Or rock, paper, scissors.
Which is it?
I don't know. Rock, paper, scissors. There we go. An overwater game of rock, paper, scissors.
Overwater?
Yeah. Well, it's not underground.
Paper's gonna get soggy, man. Don't bet on.
Well,
don't bet on paper.
The rock's gonna sink. This is my.
Scissors gonna rust. It's all bad.
It's all bad. Yeah, and they're pretty much battling for their life.
Yeah.
It's never directly. It's hinted that if you lose, you get kind of carted away for some unpleasantness and experiments or whatnot. But this is how people are paying off debts, and there's rich people who are betting on these people. Every person is equipped with 4 rocks, 4 paper, 4 scissors, and and they just got to battle it out until time is over. When time is over, if you win, you get a star off of somebody. You get to put it onto yours. You need to have at least 2 stars, I think.
I think it's 3 stars.
3 stars and no cards left. So, you can battle all you want. You can be out of cards, but if you're out of stars, then you're effed.
Yeah.
Unless you try to, loan some out. Or take a loan to get some more.
Absolutely. Because you can always you can take a loan out to get more money, which you can then use to buy stars to then get, or to buy cards.
Cards, yeah, to keep playing to get stars.
Because you can, to be clear, you can, I think, buy off of other players and do something with the bank after you take out money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it comes down to, we have our protagonist who's kind of not really going anywhere in life, pining away for the girlfriend that also obviously wants him. There's that whole trope of the communication, people. It's key in the relationships. And then his buddy kind of swindles him out of his money.
Oh, yeah.
And lands him here in this overwater rock, paper, scissors tournament with his buddy as well. They team up with the third guy to strategize their way out of it. Our third guy, Fatty Mung, to sabotage or to strategize their way out of it. And it's really just one giant math battle.
Yeah.
Is what it all comes down to. This, they kind of hint his wannabe girlfriend, the woman who works at the hospital where his mom's being taken care of. She does mention that he was incredibly bright when he was a kid, and I assume I guess his dad died.
There is a traumatic incident.
Yeah,
there's a traumatic incident. Yeah. The trailers for this film, which Daryl hasn't mentioned,
didn't watch the trailer.
You didn't watch
right into it, man.
Oh well, which is totally cool. Those of you that have seen the trailer, Animal World will be familiar because it looks like it has Ronald McDonald / Deadpool.
Ronald McDeadpool
beating up people and cutting into creatures that spew out orange and green goo. That's not really
what
the
movie.
That is not at all
going on inside his dome piece there.
Yeah, it is. It is everything going on in his head because he's envisioning himself as this because of stuff that gets revealed in the movie.
Right. And things, the traumatic events kind of lead him on downward to the path where we see him at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
But he has retained that brilliance, though, and we see him employ it to tremendous effect all throughout this, at times, very tense rock, paper, scissors tournament.
Yeah, you wouldn't think rock, paper, scissors would get intense, nor would you think you'd be fascinated by math. And I'm not saying you were. I'd like to get to your thing, but I was sitting there being like, why am I riveted by this?
I was fucking riveted. Part of me, the whole time I was wondering, I just want to be in the writer's room.
Yeah.
To figure out, I'm just going to go ahead and take the assumption that all the math holds up in this. But being all right, we have this, we know we have this, which means these things are possible, which means we can do these things. And then just one guy comes in there and is like, well, nope, you fucked up right here. And I'll just scrap all of this. All right, now we have this, we have this.
And the animation for all of it, what's really wonderful for those of you that aren't as familiar with either gambling, with probability, or any number of other things, when our lead is doing some of these mathematical heavy exposition dumps, but they don't feel like it, because you're getting this animatic with the cards doing things, so it gives you this wonderful visual representation, so it never feels like an exposition dump, even though it is, because it's still moving us forward and keeping the audience on track with where we're going.
They made exposition dumps fun.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least distracting enough that you get the general gist of what's going on. There's many times I was lost. And I was just because I'm not a math dude, I'm just I guess he knows what he's talking about. I'll roll with it. And then, the whole thing goes down, and there's another 20, 30 minutes of, okay, a little twists and turns in there, and very, very well done.
Yeah.
Very well done. How did you come across this film?
My brother-in-law went, hey, it's Ronald McDeadpool. What is this? Have you heard of this movie? And I went, I have not
heard of Ronald McDeadpool, the
movie. Because seriously, if you haven't watched the trailer, I'd almost say don't watch it, because you'll get a absolute misrepresentation of this film. But if you have the kind of Netflix where you're scrolling through and it automatically plays the trailer and you see it,
I hate that.
I agree. But if you see it, you'll understand why you're immediately go, what the fuck is this?
Right? I would suggest not watching the trailer. Just jump into that bad boy. It starts off a little bit slow. The budget was not quite there, and it shows on the CGI, and I was just like, oh, man, what is this going to be? And then maybe like 20, 30 minutes in, as soon as his buddy showed up and started trying to get the funds out of him, I was like, oh, we got a snake in the grass. I'm ready to go now.
Yeah, this is far more of a crime thriller than it is anything else.
I agree with that.
I could not help. And for those of you that love this movie and might think that this is sacrilege, watch Animal World and you'll see what I mean. It felt like Rounders to me in some instances.
Yeah, he set me up.
Yeah, because this
John
is
Malkovich is in there.
because it's not. Yeah, it's rock paper scissors. So you're going, oh, it's fucking rock paper scissors. Mm-hmm. But this is high stakes.
Yeah.
This is
anything for your life is high stakes.
Absolutely. And they took something that should be so casual and makes it, it's so simple and childlike, and yet.
Yeah, and yet.
You're going to die if you don't do these certain things. And who do you trust, and who's this, and who's that, and what are ulterior motives, and why are you here? And apparently, and this doesn't spoil anything for anybody, but you find out that there's some people on this boat that have been there before.
Yeah.
This isn't just new people. This is some people that keep coming back. And so you can do that. You can opt in somehow. And there's all of this stuff going on. My only big issue with this film is the way that it ended. I felt like it was sort of a forcing the possibility of a sequel instead of just... It was answering questions that we didn't necessarily need to have answered in this film.
Right.
That if they're going to do a sequel, fingers crossed, that's where you bring this stuff in.
I would very much like to see a sequel to this.
Yeah.
Very, very much.
Yeah.
So what about you, sir?
With Animal World or with my challenge?
Well, obviously you're on board with the sequel as well. I plan on rewatching this one a couple more times to see if I can get all the math right in my head.
Yeah, I really want to show this to Crystal at some point, but I have to add it to the list of other films.
The ever-growing to-be-watched list.
Yeah, it's I don't know when this is going to go up, but it's Foreign Film Week on Paprika. And
It'll go up this week.
Okay, cool. I threw up a trailer this morning for one of my favorite films of 2016, The Handmaiden. It's a little, I think it's about 2.5 hours. Yeah. Still haven't shown it to her.
They played it at the Ballantine Regal.
Really?
And by the time I realized it was playing, oh shit, The Handmaid's playing now. It was the last day it was playing, and I already had tickets to go see something else. Because that theater, I can walk to from work.
Right.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I can finally, no, I can't. So I missed it in theaters.
Yeah, I'm afraid that's going to happen to me with The Dead Don't Die because it's screening at 2 theaters. Yeah. And right now my schedule's booked, and if it's only at 2 theaters, it's probably not going to last very long in Charlotte, which is frustrating because I've only seen Ghost Dog, and I love Ghost Dog.
Forrest Whitaker.
Love that movie. But it's the only one by this director I've seen. Yeah. So I've been told I should probably see a few others before seeing this one to really get the sense of what the director's style is. Yeah. And I get that, but I still want to check it out. But
are you going to that yesterday screening?
No.
Okay then.
No, I am not. I'm actually going home today to watch. When we're done here, I'm going home to watch a movie called Use Me, which we're getting slightly off track, but we'll get back on in a second. A film called Use Me, which is by documentarian Julian Shaw. Word. And I forget the other lead actress's name. She's a humiliatrix, if I'm saying that right, a femdom. Humiliatrix.
Okay, yes.
And it's we'll call it a faux documentary, where it's shot like a documentary where Julian Shaw, the director of this film, is going to do a documentary on her, the woman, whose name I can't remember. It's like, I'm gonna mess up her name because I can't quite remember it, so.
Halle Berry.
No.
Oh, okay.
But they're playing themselves or a version of themselves. So this is shot documentary style, but it's sort of not.
Like Battlestar Galactica was shot documentary style, but
sure.
Oh, Doug.
Yes.
Have you seen Battlestar?
Huh?
Moving on.
I have not seen either iteration of Battlestar Galactica.
That's all right.
But to be fair, by the time Battlestar Galactica was getting really, really big, so was Doctor Who, and I finally got on board with Doctor Who in 2011 because I was working far away from home at a contract gig, and I needed stuff to do in my downtime. So I watched a lot of Doctor Who and got caught up with the modern edition, although haven't been watching since the second season of Capaldi, and it's sad.
You're not missing much. Now,
Says you. But anywho... so my challenge was Polar.
Polar.
Another Netflix film, although yours was not an original, mine was.
Yes. Another entry in the old man action genre.
Yes, this was by Jonas Ackerlund, I believe, was the director. And Jason Rothwell was the writer, but of course this is inspired by Victor Santos's Dark Horse graphic novel, as I understand it.
Right.
Polar came from the cold. I have not read the graphic novel, so I came into this not making a pun or anything. I came into this cold.
Oh,
I did.
You should have ran with it.
I know, but I didn't. And if I've seen a trailer for it, I forgot it. Okay, because it came out in January.
Right.
So some stuff sticks with me, but, a lot of stuff coming in and going, and I didn't get the chance to watch it when it came out, so I sort of moved on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mads Mikkelsen, you've already got my attention.
Yep.
I've been a fan of his since King Arthur, because I forget which member of the Round Table he was in, but the man was nuts. And then, of course, he showed up in Casino Royale.
Yeah.
So, and he was fantastic in that.
That's the first thing I saw, man.
Oh, right on. So if Mads is in something, I'm already interested.
Right.
And of course, you've got Vanessa Hudgens, who I'm not of the right age bracket to be a quote fan of hers, because she sort of came up as a youngster, then became a musician, has now been doing some acting, which isn't a problem. She's a good actor. Wasn't she in Powerless?
Never saw it.
That was the ABC show with I think she headlined that. It was okay. The show itself was okay. It had a great cast, but anyway, Catherine Winnick, who is
Vikings.
She's really great at showing up and stuff. No. I mean, like, she'll just show up out of nowhere.
Taking bit parts.
Well, yeah. She hit my radar with Bones.
Mm-hmm.
She was a love interest for I can't think of his name.
David Boreanaz?
Thank you. David Boreanaz' character in like season 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
And she was wonderful in the show whenever she showed up. And I've seen her in Stand Up Guy. She has a very, very tiny role. I hate to say this. She has a tiny role as a hooker that ends up sleeping with either Alan Arkin or...
Morgan Freeman.
No.
Michael Douglas.
No. Al Pacino.
Al Pacino.
Yeah. I forget it. I forget which one of them it is.
She was one of my early picks for Captain Marvel.
Really? Yeah. I could see that, actually. Mm-hmm. She has a strong presence.
Yep.
She does. And it's got, what's his name? Matt Lucas. And he's done some funny stuff from time to time.
This is the only thing I know him from.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it Great Britain, I think was the name of the show, that he did... I forget who his partner was in that, but it was big in the UK. It was on air for a little while on HBO. He did Bridesmaids with Rebel Wilson. Two of them were roommates.
Okay.
And they kicked what's her face out, Kristen Wiig. So I've seen him in a few things. He fits for this. He has the right kind of over the top, kind of an asshole, don't really care, just fucking die already kind of dude. Yeah. And so you're not upset when he does. What I found interesting about the approach to this, I mean, Johnny Knoxville is in there for like a cup of coffee. Yeah. Maybe.
It's a great unit of measurement. That is an incredible unit of measurement.
But to me, this film was sort of a mixture of Kick-Ass and Atomic Blonde.
Yeah.
Because it's very high-powered and intense and silly and over the top.
Yeah.
And also incredibly grounded. Mm-hmm. My favorite thing about this movie was the detail work. Mm-hmm. Honestly, was the detail work. That specifically with Mads' character of Duncan, because this guy is so good and so overly paranoid that that's how he's lasted so long. He'll only stay on the phone with people for 30 seconds, and every time he does, he takes out the SIM card, breaks it, and put in a new one.
Yep.
He will not stay on the phone for longer than 30 seconds. He owns on record, I think, like 4 properties. Doesn't live in any of them, right? And there's one thing that happens that sort of gives him away, but that is more interesting, I think, as we get through it. The ending, the sort of surprise, if you will, I understand why it happened. It was probably in the graphic novel. I want to know. I almost want to read the graphic novel to find out if it pays off better. Because you've only got but so much time for a film.
Right.
Paper is a little bit different for a graphic novel. I enjoyed it. I heard a lot of people didn't like it.
A lot of people didn't like it.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's not just something where I'm like, you know what? I'm bored. I'm going to put on Polar. But if it were on, I wouldn't say, you should turn that off. There were a couple of really great sequences. Duncan's character is hired to go assassinate a dude that is being blamed for killing Johnny Knoxville at the beginning of the movie.
Right.
And the way he goes about it, the approach he takes, he's so flippin' methodical.
He's scientific with it.
It was brilliant and genius, and it hurt so much. There's a torture sequence in the film. I mean, a movie like this is going to have
You gotta
one.
have one.
And it hurt me. I don't like that kind of. I mean, I know it's a movie. But when the camera is zooming in on the flesh getting cut and this and that, Crystal had come down from putting Connor down at that point. I was just looking at her. Hey, how you doing? You're so pretty.
The same thing happened in my house. Came in, sat down, got right back up, and took off.
That's what she did?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you, Leslie.
I thought that they took that too far, not as in like too gory or anything, but they pushed the realism a little bit too far. I mean, on top of all that, then he gets shot in the leg about 3 minutes later. So yeah, that
and he's still kicking everybody's ass.
He's still kicking everybody's ass, and he's shot in the shoulder too. Yeah, I think that was a little bit too far. I would have preferred a little bit of light torturing.
I imagine so would the person getting tortured.
Yeah, but it is.
I mean, when you have an option, go with the light.
Go
torture.
with the light torture. All right, so I'm glad you dug that.
I did enjoy it.
I was hesitant.
Here's the thing, and so many people, it's like, I love this movie. I hate this movie. Though that's not the only. A movie can be good. A movie can be enjoyable. It doesn't have to be this huge thing. For example, I saw Godzilla, King of the Monsters, and perhaps because I have no real history, I was bored senseless and wondering where all the monster fights were. There was, I think, like 2. You saw monsters, but there was like 2 monster fights. There were more monster fights in Pacific Rim and Pacific Rim Uprising. Exactly. Exactly. So, you can watch something and just go, this was amazing because of whatever thing that touched you. Or I hate it because that's what didn't touch you. Or just go, it's all right.
It was a movie.
Right.
It was a movie. Yeah.
And with Polar, it was a good film.
Yeah.
It's something that if I knew someone was in the mood for a thing and they liked Kick-Ass or they liked Atomic Blonde, I'd go,
Speaking of Kick-Ass, the first time I was watching it.
Which one, Kick-Ass or Polar?
Polar.
Okay.
Our main bad guy very much reminded me of Christopher Mintz-Plaza's character in Kick-Ass.
Like a grown-up version.
Yeah, like a grown-up version of that.
Of Red Mist. Yeah, I could totally see that.
The motherfucker. And Kick-Ass too. All right,
that's
are we
right.
ready to get into our top 3s?
Let's do it. For this week, our category is, because it's the 30th. Has it been 30 years? Are we that old? It's 30 years since 1989.
Yes, that's how time works.
We've had, it is how time works. Thank you for pointing that out. It's been 30 years since 1989, and 1989 has had an enormous impact on cinema. It has. There are movies that came out in 1989 that are considered classics, many of which are not classics, but the ones that are classics are still heavily prevalent in rotation. And we're talking about movies like Disney's The Little Mermaid, Tim Burton's Batman, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and production has started on Bill and Ted's Face the Music.
Yep.
Earth Girls Are Easy,
Goldblum.
Lean on Me, Harlem Nights, and of course there's Dead Poets Society, but I have to mention it because I'm probably one of the few that loves that movie, Ghostbusters 2.
Yes, you were one of the very few.
I am one of the very few. It is a hill I'm willing to die on.
Last season on Pop Regular Brackets, we rehashed Best Sci-Fi. There was a time before I decided on Best Sci-Fi, I was thinking about going Best Years for film.
Well, that'd be hard.
Yeah, it would be hard.
Yeah.
And one of the ones I was
Most of
looking
that is
heavily
subjective,
at was,
too.
Yeah, I mean, well, you got to look at it from 2 perspectives. You got to look at, like, this came out, this came out, this came out. This was a great year.
Yeah.
This stinker came out, and this stinker came out. So, it kind of bounces out. 89 was definitely going to be one of the 89, I think 94. I was looking at it was like 93, 94. There's a couple of great years. 82 was definitely going to be a year that was in there. 89's got some shit in it.
It goes in both directions. I mean, one of my favorite movies from that year is Gleaming the Cube, and that shit is problematic and is not going to win any awards.
No.
But it holds a special place in my heart, and this is one of the reasons why I have a tendency to say something can be objectively bad but subjectively good. A movie, by its merits, may be horrible, but you can still love it. The Wizard is a horrible movie. I love it so much.
Where do you fall on Goonies? Because I've been fighting people all last week on Goonies.
Well, Goonies Never Say Die. What the hell are you talking about?
Exactly. There were people like, Goonies is a bad movie. It is a terrible movie.
It might very well be.
It is not.
It might very well be.
It is not.
But here's the one thing I'll say about it, and I'm not going to specifically identify the person that I'm married to, but this person, is not a fan of the Goonies, and if I remember correctly, she's not a fan of the Goonies, and it's probably because she came to it late.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, I've wanted to show her the Monster Squad, but because the Monster Squad is basically the Goonies with monsters.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of the same realm. Right?
Yeah, and there's also the Monster Squad, which is another film that I love, is also heavily problematic when looking back. Coming from now to then, no, there's some language, even Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, that's incredibly problematic. Yeah. There's an exchange that Bill and Ted have that wouldn't fly today. But again, that's today versus 89.
Right.
So sort of, these are time capsules. Some people don't dig the Goonies, and that's okay, because you know what? We do. We do.
Let's start with our lists.
Hey, let's do it. What is your... We going top to bottom in any particular order?
Oh, man, it's 3-1, man.
3-1? Okay, what's your number 3?
My number 3 came out in 1989.
I hope so. That's a good year to talk about.
Good year to talk about. Oh, man, I didn't realize it was directed by a young Eddie Murphy. It's Harlem Nights.
Oh, he directed that?
Directed by Eddie Murphy.
Well, shoot off my pinky toe.
All right, then.
Please don't shoot off my pinky toe.
You gonna shoot me in the pinky toe? Yeah, Murphy, Richie Pryor, Red Fox, Della Reese, Charlie Murphy, Arsenio Hall in there, Danny Aiello. There's so much. It was between this and I feel like my blackness could be called in question. It was either this or it was Do the Right Thing, and I chose this.
I think, as I'm obviously not so fucking pale, but I think it's okay.
This one, comedy always touches me more than drama does. Just speaks to my personality. Yeah.
I'd say you did the right thing.
Stop.
You told me earlier to lean into it.
It is. I think it's one of the ones that people kind of sail by because everybody talks about Coming to America, Trading Places, 48 Hours, Beverly Hills Cop when it comes to like the classic Eddie comedy. And I think Harlem Nights really goes overlooked as one of the better Eddie Murphy comedies. That's why when we did Comedy Week for Paprika last week, we kicked off the film discussion with Harlem Nights because it is just a great period piece. Like everything just looks great. The costumes look great. Della Reese is always just fancifully done up in all these crazy flowery flowing nonsense, and the suits are all very like high tied and pinstripes and all that kind of good stuff. Great period piece. Great comedy.
But it's also a heavy drama.
It's got some good drama in there too. You got Danny Aiello just trying to. He has a nice exchange of, why do you think you're so much better than me? You're high society, and I'm living down here in a fucking novel. It might be my favorite Danny Aiello role, as a matter of fact. That and his bit role in Lucky Number 7. It's in this nice little, he's the bookie. Yeah, can you pay these monies?
I did not remember him in Lucky Number 11. I love that movie. I always go to Hudson Hawk. But
maybe like 3 minutes, maybe, of Slevin. There's a nice little cute little bait and switches that you don't know are happening, and he ends up stuck in the vault and all that good stuff. It's so much good stuff that comes out. It's so many classics. It's got my favorite Arsenio Hall scene with him trying to kill Eddie Murphy. Not a flawless movie, but still a great, great fun movie to go back and revisit.
And it's one I haven't rewatched in quite some time.
I remember I first came to it because 2 kids in school did, no joke, like a solid 15-minute bit, beginning to end, just straight off the top of their heads. And I was like, this is amazing. And what movie is this? Tracked it down and watched it, and I was like, yeah, this is good.
I wonder, because I think it was Busta Rhymes with his song Cavassier, that in the music video, there was a whole sequence that was straight up Harlem Nights.
Yeah, he had like a
someone if anybody came to that
3-video sequence where he ripped off Harlem Nights, he ripped off Coming to America, and the whole like giant dance number in Coming to America before the Queen comes out. He did that, and there's a third one out there somewhere. I can't remember what the third one was, but yeah, he homaged a lot of classic African American comedies.
Okay. So far, the connection is Eddie Murphy.
Yeah. If I can remember that third one was, it might be Eddie Murphy. Yeah. That's my number 3. Harlem Nights.
Right on. My number 3 is I'm just gonna say now, all 3 of mine are very white.
Well,
just they are.
Surprise, Doug.
No, because it's also 1989. Let's be fair.
Let's be real.
I mean, the most color we had probably in the big films of that year came in Earth Girls Are Easy because they were blue, orange, whatever other fucking color they were. But, I love Lean On Me, by the way. But I had to, with this list, Lean On Me and Dead Poets Society are 2 films that inspired me as a kid to want to be a teacher outside of cinematically. Not talking about real people in my life that inspired me. But
I was hard pressed to not put Dead Poets on my list.
Yeah, Dead Poets is an amazing film, but Morgan Freeman just kicking down doors and going into people's homes. You know, I care about your kids, and it's
chaining shit closed.
Yeah, for their safety, and of course, I haven't looked into the history of it, but the cinematic version of what's going on, I rewatched Lean On Me recently, and it still made me cry.
Nice.
But just because I was going in sort of a more fun vibe for it, my number 3 is a really bad movie called Best of the Best.
Which I'll be finding out about.
Yes. We haven't gotten into the challenges, but I have challenged you to watch Best of the Best. It was directed by Robert Radler. It stars Eric Roberts, James Earl Jones, Chris Penn, John Dye, and Edon Green. I can't read my handwriting. I am so sorry that I can't read my handwriting.
Yeah, they're all listening to this podcast right now.
It is, if you're unfamiliar with it, Best of the Best is a film that centers on a group of athletes joining the USA karate team. They are going into a competition to fight against, I can't remember now if it's Japan or Korea. I think it's Japan. But that team, the team that they're going up against is, they've broken people. And one of them on the opposition team literally killed in a competition one of the upcoming fighters' siblings. So it becomes very personal.
Yeah. That's what I like to see. Throw the damn towel.
Yeah. So you've got, at the time, some great actors. Not to say that Eric Roberts isn't a great actor. I enjoy him and stuff. But he was on a strong career in the 80s, and somewhere in the 90s went more into the B and C level type films.
What scene begins with The Dark Knight.
And it's frustrating because for instance, he's really good in The Dark Knight. He's really good in other stuff, but then there's James Earl Jones, who, say what you will, does no fucking wrong.
Yep, consistently
so good. And Chris Penn, may he rest in peace. He was not only in this one, but also the sequel, and he's perfect in this. Yeah. He's perfect in this. But it's a group of guys who are so absolutely different. Some are athletes, some are older than they should be for competition, some blah, 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 blah. And it is a drama. It is a drama. It's about people doing martial arts, but it is a drama. And the sequence in which these competitors fight each other, it's so moving to watch, to see how they compete, how they react to that competition, and what winning and or losing means.
Okay.
Because for me, whenever I watch any kind of martial arts film, any kind of action film that focuses on a martial artist, such as, say, Avengement that came out recently, Jesse V. Johnson just put that out in theaters, DVD and VOD, if I remember right. Highly recommend that. But all the fight sequences in that move the story forward. They're about communicating something about the character. That's what these fight sequences do.
Okay.
Highly recommend it.
All right, then.
Number 2.
My number 2 is a title I'm sure you're familiar with.
Probably.
A little Tim Burton project called Batman.
Never heard of it. Is it any good?
Yeah.
Is it any good?
It's pretty dope.
Does it have some good music? I like good music.
I like good color music.
Wait, what?
The purple one, man.
Oh, I was like, wait. Where did this conversation go?
Yeah, man, it is.
Yeah, you can say that. I'm not going to describe it that way. The purple one I can say. The other thing I'm not going to say.
No, you cannot.
Jesus.
I think that this movie, by the 1989 Batman, took leaps and bounds into re-legitimizing what Batman should have always been. It took away from the camp that was the Adam West, Burt Ward Batman, which unfortunately the comic books ended up really reflecting that camp. So there's like a good decade and a half period where the Batman comics are mad effing goofy, largely in part due to the Adam West Batman. Then we get Frank Miller comes in 1985. He does Batman. He does The Dark Knight Returns. And people are like, oh shit, Batman could be that business. And then he does Batman Year One, and they're like, Batman is the business. And then Tim Burton in '89 gives us Batman 1989, and I was like, this is the Batman we need right here. Michael Keaton, if there was an internet back then, it would have been an uproar of how
there was an uproar without the internet.
No, yeah.
There actually was.
Let me write to my senator about
this.
Yeah.
There was a write-in campaign.
Kim Basinger, Jack Nicholson, Jack Palance.
Yep.
People forget Jack Palance is in that movie. With music with Prince, man, what? I thought Alfred Go, and gotta mention the long term Alfred. It's so good. It's so good. I'm not a huge Tim Burton guy. He has a light dusting of Tim Burton in this movie. It's not full Tim Burton like your Alice in Wonderland or Batman Returns is full Tim Burton. Although I do fucking love Batman Returns too. It was a great step cinematically to legitimizing Batman for the character of what he should be. He's a weird dude. He's an isolated dude. He's a tortured dude.
And a detective. It was nice to see him detect.
It was nice to see him. He does a lot more detecting, I think, in this than any other Batman movie.
Maybe Batman Forever a little bit because he's solving the Riddler's puzzles. But he probably does more in this one.
That's a good point. The Dark Knight, there's a little bit of detecting going on in there, but it focuses more on the Joker than anything else. Yeah. I mean, that movie is just wonderful to watch. I know you just recently rewatched it with the 4K color restoration.
It is the Tim Burton Batman more than the Batman anthology of those from '89 and '91, and then what is it, '95 and '97?
Yeah.
The Tim Burton Batman '89 looks so beautiful and so different in the remaster. There are colors there I didn't even realize were there.
Boom, there you go. Go ahead and check that out. Kim Basinger did a good job. It's Vicky Vale. It's what you expect. Oh, and lest we forget Danny Elfman putting in work on that Batman score, which I kind of wish.
The iconic score.
Yeah, I kind of wish the Hans Zimmer was hinted at it during his time during Dark Knight music, but he went his own direction. Can't be mad at that.
No, it had it's Christopher Nolan. Got to put your own stamp on stuff,
right?
And it worked. It absolutely worked. It's okay for a director to go, this is going to be my thing, as long as it is a strong my thing.
Yeah.
And it was.
All right, you're number 2, sir.
My number 2, it's, excuse me, I'm dying over here. It's funny you mentioned Jack Palance. We're going to go to another Jack Palance movie because we're talking about 1989, and I'm sorry, this movie is amazing, Tango and Cash.
Wow.
Tango and Cash.
Okay.
No, 1989 cinematically, I think if you looked at my personality and then looked at a list of movies, you went to my wall in my home and pulled out every movie I owned from 1989, you would go, oh, this is Doug. This is him.
Yeah.
Because I put together a huge list. I know you put together one as well and was trying to figure these out and those out and whatever. And I'm going, own that. I even own John Candy's Who's Harry Crumb.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It is amazing. F you, buddy. It is hilarious to watch John Candy at work. It's got Annie Potts and a slew of other great actors in it, so F you, buddy. But Tango and Cash, Sylvester Stallone, Kurt Russell, Terry Hatcher, Jack Palance. It is a cop movie, but it's a different kind of cop movie. This is an actual action comedy, and it's your buddy comedy type of thing where you've got Sylvester Stallone as the buttoned-up Tango, and you had Kurt Russell as the wild and crazy Cash, but they're both great detectives.
Right.
They have very different approaches. One of them studies the stock market, invests his money, and the other one can barely afford rent, if you will. But, I mean, I'm sure he can, but just the way that they live is very different. But they are consistently good detectives, and they get framed by Jack Palance's gangster character who we don't really know, but he sort of helps facilitate things for some other crime guys. And Crime Guys, that's their official title.
Crime
if I remember
Guys.
Right. Crime Guys.
That's my business card. Popular podcast, Crime Guys.
But so they end up getting framed and sent to prison, and they're forced to work together. But they have these two, Stallone and Russell, have amazing chemistry together. The writing that they put together is fantastic.
Yeah.
They've got Sylvester Stallone cracking jokes. At the beginning of the movie, they're trying to stop what looks like a gas tanker from driving down the road. And Sylvester Stallone, he's just standing in the middle of the road he's got a 6-shooter and truck's barreling down on him. He just slowly takes out new bullets, puts them in, measures up, shoots a couple of times. The car stops, right? The tanker stops right in front of him because, of course, it does. And so, of course, the state troopers, whenever they come up and everybody's angry because you did all this stuff and trying to arrest this guy, and all we find is gas and you're an asshole and this, that, and whatever. Guy thinks he's Rambo. Yeah, comes out. So Stallone, of course, stops and goes, Rambo is a pussy. And then he shoots the tanker, at which point cocaine comes out. And because it's 89, he tests it first.
Oh, you got to rub it on the gums.
Yes,
real quick,
yeah. Because apparently that's the way you test for drugs. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's the right way to do it. Wink, wink.
Snort, snort.
But anyway, so it's filled with these kind of bits, and it's just so much fun, and it's so brainless, and you won't look at a grenade without thinking it's the perfect form of birth control again.
Stop.
It is so good.
All right, my number one, sir.
Number one.
Called nostalgia all you want to. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Very different movie. Come on, Junior.
Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. It is a return to form, quote unquote. Back to Nazis. We're back to hunting a biblical item of some kind.
Wait. Are you talking about 2019 or 1989? We're back to Nazis and.
Yeah, well, we're not hunting anything biblical yet. Yet. The Harrison Ford, of course, Sean Connery, Denholm Elliott, John Rhys Davis. And there, Allison Doody, which was a question on Test Your Might. And the one guy whose name I always forget. Anyways, your main bad guy. Don't trust anyone, Dr. Jones. That guy. Who's also in Empire Strikes Back. Who's also Grandmaster Pycelle in Game of Thrones. It is, like I said, return to form. Literally riding off.
River Phoenix is in it, too.
Oh, and
Young
River Phoenix is, yes.
Young
riding off into the sunset. You kind of see like what formed Indiana Jones, that whole opening James Bond-like segment of the River Phoenix playing the Indy, going across the Coronado, and it belongs in a museum. And then you find out years later he's still trying to get that damn cross. Mm-hmm. It tells you a lot about Indy's character and who he is, and kind of who he modeled himself after, right? Sean Connery doing the bumbling dad thing, which is interesting to see him because he was the suave, cool, calm, collected spy. Now he's just bumbling. Junior, look at the cross section. You can tell right here.
And then, of course, you find out that the two of them slept with the same woman.
Yeah.
What's up? Yeah. Eskimo cousins.
Eskimo somethings. And what'd you find out? Jones Illumination. There's so much good stuff that comes out of that. It is a great father-son movie. It is a great adventure movie. Mm-hmm. That movie can do no wrong. X marks the spot.
I don't disagree whatsoever. And while I'm not a fan of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and a lot of people take issue with the refrigerator sequence, as soon as someone went, he did drink from the Holy Grail. Oh, that's why he can survive.
Okay, yeah.
As soon as someone pointed that out, I was like, all right, we've already seen it heal bullet wounds. We've seen do this. He actually drank from it. Okay.
Then again, Sean Connery drank from it, still dead.
Yeah, but that was probably natural causes. We don't actually know.
No, yeah.
We can presume natural causes, not necessarily living forever. Okay, so there's some toughness there.
Yeah.
Call it nostalgia as well for my number one. I'm sorry I did Roadhouse. Actually, you know what? I'm not sorry. I am not sorry at all.
You were right, Doug. He is extremely white movies.
Hey.
But they're yours.
They are mine, and I own that shit. Roadhouse is a movie. If you see it on TV, you can't help but stop and watch Patrick Swayze do his fucking thing.
Swaggering all around
and
the screen.
The music in that movie, I forget the name of the band. I've got it on my iPod, but the music is fantastic.
It is.
The movie's fun. It feels very 80s.
Yeah.
It feels incredibly 80s. But Kelly Lynch is fantastic, and it's Sam fucking Elliott, man.
The dude's not wrong, man.
Shows up and he steals everything from Patrick Swayze. And if you're watching that movie and go, man, Patrick Swayze is a sexy dude. Yeah, then Sam Elliott shows up.
Patrick who?
Yeah, who cares? Because it's Sam fucking Elliott. And I've seen him in some recent films, and he is still just as good now as anything he's ever done across his career.
Right.
Yeah. In fact, if you guys still haven't seen The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then the Bigfoot, please see that movie. I showed that to my wife. I showed it to Crystal within the last week or so. And please know that it's a character study drama. It is not a grindhouse film, despite what the title says. But the title is still very accurate about what you get in the film.
Okay.
Sam Elliott is fucking amazing. It's one of the best performances I've still seen all year.
All right.
Still seen. And Roadhouse, I mean, it's fucking Roadhouse, man. I mean, there's nothing else
There's
to really
nothing to
say about Roadhouse.
Nobody puts this movie in the corner. I know that.
Okay, not 89. But I mean, there was just so many movies to think of that wouldn't have necessarily put, I think, my whiteness on display. But these are films that, having discussed recently stuff like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Dead Poets Society, Indiana Jones, and The Last Crusade, which is my favorite of the three. It is literally my favorite of the three.
It was mine for the longest, and I rewatched Raiders, and I was like, I'm an idiot. It's Raiders.
No. No hearts get ripped out. So, Last Crusade.
Temple of Doom where the hearts get ripped out.
Well, Raiders is pretty good. Although you're right. No. I messed that. I did mess that up. I'm sorry about that. Because it's Temple of Doom that always freaks me out. Still does. But
well, it should.
But someone pointed out that Raiders of the Lost Ark would have happened in the exact same way if Indy hadn't been involved, and that just changed the way that I watched the entire movie.
Yeah, they would have got the. They would have got that. Well, I mean,
they would have gotten the Ark, and you know what would have happened?
No,
they still would have died.
They were digging in the wrong place, though. Would they have gotten the Ark?
Then they wouldn't have gotten the Ark.
Well, the end.
So, and again, I'm not trying to take away from the movie.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things where it's like, no, what?
Oh,
well,
yeah. So somebody just
okay,
woke up in a cold sweat at 3 a.m. and they're like, holy shit. But
I do that anyway. That's just a regular Tuesday.
Cinnamon challenges for next episode.
Next episode, I have challenged you to the 1989 quote-unquote classic, Best of the Best.
It's heavy quotes there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's acquired taste. At this time of my life, I was watching stuff like American Ninja and a whole bunch of Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, Double Impact and whatever else. I was watching Three Ninjas. So, I was in a phase that I'm not sure I've ever left.
Okay.
Bloodsport, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, Best of the Best, it's a movie I haven't watched in forever, and after we talk about it, I'm probably going to go home and watch it.
Fair enough.
So, and for me, you've challenged me to.
I've given you Moon, the first Duncan Jones outing with Sam Rockwell. And,
Sam Rockwell.
A little sci-fi joint for you. I know you said a couple times that it's on your list of shame.
It is.
I'm here to change that, sir.
Right on. And it'll certainly make that one small sequence in Mute more rich.
Yes.
More rich.
Yeah.
And what's his face does voice? Kevin Spacey, right?
Yeah, I want to say Kevin Bacon. Yeah, Kevin Spacey. Voices Gertie, which 2001 has, I think, trained people. Don't trust the fucking robots.
Well, of course not.
Yeah.
Of course not. And even if 2001 didn't do that, Aliens certainly did.
But Lost in the Spaces over here, like, I was a good robot. Good robot over here.
And by the way, it was totally fine that you mentioned Kevin Bacon. I totally get that because we were just talking about Chris Penn with Best of the Best. Chris Penn and Kevin Bacon were in Footloose.
Look at you, degree of separation ended up.
I was just trying to help you out.
I was watching something the other day, and I was like, what was I watching? Oh, I was watching Alienation. I was like, well, if I ever need to use Michael Douglas in Degree of Separation, now I got Vanessa Hudgens and Catherine Waite to throw in there. So thank you for that, sir.
You're very welcome.
Wasn't expecting to see them in this joint. Anyways, that's that.
So if you haven't watched Moon, if you haven't watched Best of the Best, make sure that you listen. Make sure that you watch them.
Watch them.
You listen to us, and you watch them. I think Moon is streaming on Netflix, and Best of the Best is not.
That's the best way of putting it. Yeah.
If you've got Netflix discs like I do, because Us is coming to me soon, I cannot wait to watch that. Whether I love it or hate it, I cannot wait to be actually be able to take part in the damn conversation.
Finally, come to the conversation.
I really want to. But find Best of the Best if you can, where you can. I don't think you'll waste your time, but again, take it with a grain of salt. I did just mention Tango and Cash and Roadhouse as three films that are favorites from 1989.
Taking it with a boulder of salt. So we'll see how this goes.
Like a moon crater-sized boulder of salt?
All right, then. You got anything? Where can people find you at, sir?
They can find me at elementsofmadness.com, also Elements of Madness on Twitter and the Instagrams. And, of course, if you're looking for any new trailers, I'm throwing them up on my Elements of Madness YouTube channel.
That's at ELMNTS of Madness.
That is correct.
Yes.
That's correct.
And then you can find me in all the usual places. On Paprika, of course, the Facebook page, Paprika, and at CDelicious on Twitter. That's it. That is it for our episode. We'll be
Episode
back.
16!
It's in the books.
Just trying to remind you. Figure if I keep saying 16 over and over again.
Repetition.
Yeah. Although
I'll message you and ask about it later.
It won't work out well when we're back for 17.
I'll be like 16. You guys take it easy, and we will see you next time around.
Later.